the beauty of being on the journey with us is you get to kind of live, I don't want to say vicariously through us because that's not really what it is, but you get to see like what's actually happening. And one of our main focuses is to never forget what it was like to be in the messy middle.
If we can just learn that the messy middle is actually, like the marathon is another good example. It was so horrible, but now it's one of my favorite things because I'm not in the pain anymore, but I grew from the pain. And so that's really the through line here is the messy middle just plain sucks.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode, number 1098, The Magic Penny Riddle and What It Means for You. Today, for episode number 1099, Getting Through the Messy Middle. So, I remember, this was not very long ago, Alan said, hey, there's somebody who reached out to me, and this person was talking about an app, and Alan said, I've always wanted us to have an app. I think now is the time for us to have an app. So Matt ended up coming on the team. Alan, Matt, and Alessandro behind the scenes were building this app, and then we had an app, and it was like, oh my goodness, we are popping. This is legit. The app's okay. You know, like it's okay. It's not an Amazon app yet or an Instagram or a Facebook. So in the very beginning, I think humans are very excited for something that's happening. And then after that excitement of newness wears off, you get into the messy middle of, okay, now what do we do to improve this? That's when you really start to see the potential problems. That's when you get bored of things. One of the things I talk about, I'm actually going to do this episode next week on Podcast Growth U. If you're a podcaster, tune in. I'm going to talk about how in the very beginning, when it's fresh, number one, you're super excited to record. Number two, your friends, your family, everybody's oh my goodness, you're a podcaster? That's awesome. Good for you. And then a month later, nobody cares anymore. And that's when you're entering the messy middle. So today we're going to talk all about that, what it means for you, what to do about it, and where to go from there, I suppose.
Human beings love novelty. So whenever you start something new or do something new, even the NLU Fit Pick Challenge, I just crossed 198 days in a row.
Strong work.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. And we have some team members that are killing it. One of our team members, she is tracking calories. I was with her last night. She's tracking calories every day. She's 5 pounds down in 34 days. She's been working out every single day for 34 days straight, which for her is huge. She's not used to being that consistent in fitness. And I said, wait a minute, hold on. Because we went into the NLU fitness tracker. At NLU, we have a fitness tracker. And it's like all of us in there, almost all of us. And I'm like, wait a minute, let me get it straight. For the last 34 days, you've tracked calories, exercised, and tracked your weight every single day? She's like, yeah. I was like, what? Oh my God. And I was like, if you do that for the rest of your life, the dream physique, you'll always be on the way. Always. You'll always be on track. She lost 5 pounds. I was like, okay, cool, awesome. All right, we got to bump your calories a little because you're losing too much weight and too quick. A little too quick, right? Obviously 5 pounds in 34 days, a little too quick. Mm-hmm. But like, I was like, do you know how hard it is for me to get people? I did fitness coaching for years. You know how hard it is to get people to do that? She's like, oh, cool. Like, I know, nice. Like, so here's my point. When she started out this thing and right there, she got a lot of love. It was like, holy crap, you're really doing that? She's like, yeah. In a year from now, when she's still doing that, is it going to be that exciting? Is it going to be, holy crap, you're doing that? Holy crap, that's awesome. Oh my God, 5 pounds. No, it's going to be just part of who she is now. Yeah. And no one's going to celebrate that anymore. 198 days in a row of exercise, it's getting old. Yeah. People are probably sick of hearing me post it. It's getting old. You remember, Kev?
It's not your new identity. That's the interesting thing is you take on the identity of, okay, I used to know. So I told somebody on the team this. I was like, when you start your podcast, a bunch of people are going to reach out because they know you as this version of you. Now your podcast version of you, eventually podcast version of you gets old.
It's just normal.
And then they, people are going to move on to something else. And to your point, when your identity switches, so it goes from new podcaster who we didn't think was going to start a podcast to, oh, you're still doing this and you're in the middle of not being successful. Like the vast majority of the time, you're not successful, it's this wonky, interesting piece.
I know. And if you can't make it through the messy middle, the point of this episode is that you're not going to end up successful. And I would argue that this is number one reason why people don't succeed is lack of consistency for the long term. Yes. Hands down. There's no other explanation. Which I think underneath that is lack of self-discipline. And the reason why you need so much self-discipline in the messy middle is because no one really cares anymore. You're kind of on your own. A lot of it is actually detrimental because you're not really, this is the way to describe it, and I've done this before. So Emilia came up with an awesome framework, and all movies kind of work this way, all films, all stories. There's the old world. So picture your favorite movie. I was talking to one of our team members last night about Lord of the Rings. She loves Lord of the Rings. Sorry, Kev. So at the beginning of Lord of the Rings, it shows Frodo in the Shire. Spoiler alert. These movies came out in the early 2000s, so if you haven't seen them by now.
This is my new thing. Alan's movie minute. Okay. That's going to, every time we talk about movies, I have to do it.
Perfect. We started with movies today. Kevin asked me, what movie did I watch last night? We did a little trivia.
Yeah.
How plugged in are you?
There's something about Mary. That's what it was.
There's something about Mary. So, so when Frodo is in the Shire, that's the old world. So the old world, to Kevin's point, is this person is not a podcaster. This is the old identity. This is who we believe they are, the box we've proverbially put them in. And if you want to know about boxes, it's like, okay, Taylor Swift is a country singer. When all of a sudden she starts doing rap, we would all be like, what? Holy crap, right? It would be shocking. And then she'd be in the messy middle of probably a decent to bad rapper for quite some time before anyone actually saw her that way and saw her as successful. So Frodo is in the Shire, and it's demonstrating the old world, the comfortable world. Then there's what they call in storytelling a inciting incident. Usually it's a death of a family member. In Batman, it was the death of his parents. In all these, there's usually some trauma or some traumatic incident that happens, which kicks the character out of the old world into this messy middle, which is, by the way, every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Every speech has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Every podcast has a beginning, middle, and end. And so the messy middle is the hard part. That's when the character goes on the journey, and Frodo's like, holy crap, I got to take this ring to Mount Doom, and this is where all the trials and tribulations happen. But this is also where the character transforms. And then at the end of Lord of the Rings, spoiler alert, at the end of the whole series, Frodo is back in the Shire, but he's not the same. The Shire is the exact same. But Frodo himself can't really be there anymore because he's too big for that tiny Shire now, because he went on this magnificent adventure that was horribly brutal and traumatic, but also helped him grow so damn much. And so we all go through this messy middle part that just sucks. But if we can learn that that's the awesome part. So Kevin and I, at one point, Kevin couldn't afford to fix his car and was like having trouble at red lights, making sure his car would like work. And we joke about that now. It was horrible at the time.
It sucked.
Oh, it was so bad. But like now that we have great revenue and we can both afford cars to pay all our bills and all that stuff, it actually is, those stories are what stay with you, you know? And if we can just learn that the messy middle is actually, like the marathon's another good example. It was so horrible, but now it's one of my favorite things because I'm not in the pain anymore, but I grew from the pain. And so that's really the through line here is the messy middle just plain sucks. And I want everyone to have permission to embrace that. I just downloaded a book yesterday called Embrace the Suck. And I love that idea because we live in this fairy tale land where people are trying to tell you at the end of the journey that like it's going to be great and you're going to be successful and it's totally going to be great. Or the other end where it's like no one's going to be successful. It can't work. No way. Like just go get a 9-to-5. Neither one of those is true. The messy middle is the drive to 5. The messy middle is the truth. The messy middle is the jumping from old world to new world, which is now I'm a podcaster, and everyone cares at first, but kind of doesn't anymore. And so it took us, think about it this way. When we started our first podcast, the Hyperconscious podcast, Kev, episode 1, it's like, oh, people reaching out, you're a podcast, cool, awesome, great. It wasn't till episode 1,000 when that started kind of happening again with friends and family. But from episode 10 to 1,000 was pretty brutal, genuinely. Now, obviously, there's ups and downs within the messy middle, but that's why movies and stories resonate so deeply, is because we all are in the messy middle struggle bus, and that's how we grow.
I had a thought, but then it left me. I don't think I've had enough caffeine this morning.
It'll come.
It might not. It might not, really. I think one of the important parts of it is, and I've said this since the very beginning of this podcast journey, is the beauty of being on the journey with us is you get to kind of live, I don't want to say vicariously through us, because that's not really what it is, but you get to see like what's actually happening. And one of our main focuses is to never forget what it was like to be in the messy middle. Because if we give advice based on where we are today, I say that all the time. I say that if a podcaster comes to me and I forget where we are, I'm going to give horrible advice, right? I'm going to give, maybe it's, you got to up to 7 episodes a week or whatever. Or, well, you don't have to, I mean, once you get momentum, everything gets a little bit easier. It's like, they don't have momentum yet. That doesn't matter. And
it's not true.
So this is what happens. When I go on other shows, and I know I talk about that a lot, but I think it's just a good example of how it all connects. I tell my story, and then, it's kind of like a fast forward to here we are today. So a lot of what it is, okay, Kev, tell us a little bit about your story and how you got to where you are today. Okay, that's kind of the frame. But I always say at the end, but I don't want you to think that I went from quitting my job to where we are today. The first 3 years of this journey took parts of me that I will never get back. And I'm not even joking. The first 3 years of this journey, from quitting my job, so probably like 2017 to 2020 probably, like that was a challenge. And I don't ever want to forget that, because that's where most people are when we meet them.
Hey guys, my name is Jacob Valvalon, and I just finished next level group coaching. When I joined, I wasn't sure what I was walking into. But during the entire course and the program, I figured out it's not something that I wanted to do, it's something I needed to do. They helped set me on the right path with learning how to do PPTs, peak performance tracking, and every 2 weeks I was gaining new awarenesses and getting a lot more happier, first of all, in my health, wealth, and love, but also winning more practically and tactically in business. So if you're looking to upgrade your life and get to that next level, definitely sign up for that group coaching.
When I used to go on shows, Kev.
Back in the day, before we locked you away.
Yeah, back in the day before we locked me away. It rhymes. People would say like, holy crap, like 950 episodes. Like, how did you do that? I said, oh my God, absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
Because, it's, awesome. No, it's horrible. So brutal. Like, because I want them to know, like, don't get me wrong. It's that weird relation. It's the messy middle.
Yeah.
I do love it. I'm grateful to be here. It's Saturday at 9:46 a.m. Like, let's do this thing. But part of me is like, no, you can't, if you believe that you can do 1,000 podcast episodes and it's going to be enjoyable, you're going to lose. You can't think that and win. It's the wrong mentality. What you can think is, I'm always going to be glad that I did it. I'm always going to be glad I showed up to the mic. I'm always going to be glad when I get that message of the person saying I changed their life. I get those all the time. I'm so grateful, more than I ever have. It's you have to embrace the fact that there's no one on earth who like wakes up in the morning and does their morning routine and writes down what they want to get done for the day, and then like goes and records a podcast and like posts a perfect post on social media and like publishes an article and then like eats lunch and it's the perfect lunch, and then they like go to get their workout. That's fairy tale candy land. It's not real. I coach some of the most peak performers in the world. I'm telling you, it's all messy middle. And if we can just embrace that. I have one client who makes 20 grand a month herself, alone, solo, okay? I'm telling you, she's on the struggle bus every single freaking day. And Kev, you recently told me that you think, and someone on the team told us this too, who used to be an avid listener. She still listens, but now she's on the team. She said, you guys just give permission. You give permission for this journey to suck. I'm going to lean into that. I don't believe in this crap that people are saying about like, I don't want to be cynical and I don't want to be like pessimistic, but life is hard. It always will be, and it always has. Some lives are easier than others, and some are harder than others, but if you have big goals, it will be unreasonably difficult. That's why most of us aren't in shape. That's why most of us get divorced. That's why most of us work for other people and not for ourselves. That's why most of us don't achieve our goals and dreams. That's why most of us end up with trauma that we never heal. That's why most of us do drugs and drink, right? Statistically speaking, the large majority of the population is not deeply fulfilled and growing and contributing at their highest level and maximizing their potential. Why? Right? Why? We all know why. Because this is a ridiculously difficult journey. And if you want great things, you have to be willing to embrace the messy middle. And I'm fired up about that topic because I want to give our listeners permission to not be perfect. I want to give you permission to not have to enjoy every second of every day. It's not true. It's not real. Like you sent an email yesterday. You didn't want to send that. Of course you didn't want to send that. Right? People think that they can achieve their goals doing what they want to do. It's the biggest lie of all time. But when you do achieve goals that are deeply meaningful, you will be fulfilled. That's the coolest part. And so, yeah, the whole false life versus real life that we talked about on a previous episode, the messy middle is the opposite of that. The messy middle is the real life. The messy middle is embracing wow, it's okay that this is hard. It's the hard that makes it great. And I'll talk about that forever because it's what I believe. And at this point, I've got enough data sets from enough different countries and enough different people to just know, like, there isn't anyone who has the Midas touch of, like, you know, everything I touch just works out, you know? And even the people that act like that, trust me, like, behind the scenes, they worked for 5 years without you knowing about it, you know? And it's like, yeah, even me with the marathon. Yeah, I did a marathon on a whim. It's like, yeah, but I trained every day for 7 years before I was able to do that. And even that I couldn't do. Right. So I think we got to embrace this whole fail forward thing way more, in my opinion.
I think what's happening, and it's one of those things where it's almost like, and this is the interesting thing, it's almost like I have to convince you that it's hard, then I convince you that it's easy if you do it with me. I think that's kind of what we're experiencing in the world right now is like, weight loss is hard, but if you use this, it'll be easy. And you know what I mean? And it's like,
there's no but.
Not really. No. Nothing that I have seen. I'm yet to see anything that proves otherwise that, you know, fitness, achieving a fitness goal. What I think is happening is people are kind of doing a disservice by saying, well, if you change the way you look at it and you believe it's easy, it will be easier. I don't think that's true because I think it's almost like imagine you're going to be fighting somebody who doesn't know how to fight. Like imagine if I told you that, Alan. It's like you and I are going to just spar. Going to be super easy. Like I'll take it easy on you, and then I just hammer you and I go off on you. You're going to think like you're going to be.
I'm going to have an identity crisis.
Yeah, you're going to say I thought we were going easy. And it's like no, it's not easy. It's So if you change your vision or your perspective or your expectations, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to make the process easier. Most likely, it's going to make it harder.
Yeah, and what if I went into that fight thinking, oh my God, this is going to be brutal, so I prepare more.
Right.
And then I'm mentally and emotionally prepared to get my ass kicked.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
I agree. That's us in a nutshell. When we say heart-driven but no BS, this is really what it is.
Yeah, 100%.
I've watched a lot of videos recently, and I've had a lot of new awarenesses of a lot of things happening in the self-improvement space and industry, and just a lot of people are getting somewhere through grit and hard work and then regretting it and then giving advice based on that. Yeah. When realistically, like well, obviously hindsight's 20/20. I don't plan on ever saying like, you know what? I wish I worked less. I don't ever plan on saying that because I'm fulfilled and I'm balanced. I'm optimized correctly. I'm prioritizing things in the right order. I just think a lot of people have regrets, and maybe it's not a bad thing. Maybe it's not coming from a place of negativity. Maybe they're just saying, look, I don't want you to experience the same things I experienced. But it doesn't mean they're living their life right now or correctly now. It just means they're on the opposite side of the spectrum. So they're saying it should be a life of ease and it should be a life of alignment. I love alignment. I think alignment's super important. Alignment does not equal no resistance. That's not the way it works.
100%.
Alignment means you're on purpose and aligned, but it doesn't mean easy. Lack of resistance, lack of adversity, lack of challenge. That's not what being aligned means. So I think that's an important distinction too.
Oh, here's another thing. I know we got to go soon. I got to jump on another call. Everyone right now think of their favorite movie or their favorite film that inspired them. Not a comedy, but like something that where the hero, the character grew through adversity. Right? Think of a superhero movie, something like that. Bianca and Emilia watched Wonder Woman together. Which apparently, when that movie came out, by the way, this is really cool to hear, women in the theaters cried because they finally got to see a Superwoman character as a main lead. And there's a lot more. The new Power of the Rings series on Amazon is a woman lead. It's like a lot more of that going on, which is awesome. Yeah. So, awesome. But anyways, so Wonder Woman or Batman or whatever, insert movie that inspires you, right? The character goes through massive pain and struggle every single time. I mean, imagine a movie where everything just works. Like that's not even enjoy. It's not a good movie. It's a terrible movie. I mean, The Fighter. You and I love that movie. Yep. Not The Fighter. Warrior. If you've never seen Warrior, they're both great movies. Warrior, I think, is better. I showed Emilia that film, and she does Muay Thai and loves mixed martial arts as well. That movie, she was like, that movie is so good. If you've never seen Warrior, that movie is so good.
Very underrated. It's not known, but Tom Hardy's in it. I don't
know the other guy's name.
I don't either.
It's an extraordinary film, for sure. Talk about overcoming adversity through family challenges and stuff like that. Yep. But anyways, these movies that inspire us, they move us because life is hard. But we can overcome it through grit and work ethic and perseverance. The character perseveres. And I think that's what's inspiring. And so, obviously this is our opinion, but the messy middle is the middle of the film. It's the adventure. It's the part that's actually awesome if you can somehow learn to embrace that. Trust me, it's going to suck, but like if you can somehow go into the future and say, in the future, I'm going to be grateful I went through this, then that, I think, can at least help you go through it. And then sometimes you just got to say, you know what? I'm going to put my head down and I'm going to get through this and I'm going to grow from it. At very least, let it motivate you, let it drive you, let it grow you. You're going to have people hate on you. You're going to have family members who don't believe in you. You're going to have people not listen to your podcast. You're going to write articles that suck. Like, just embrace it and make sure you're getting better every day. And I promise you, at least you'll never regret that. You'll never regret getting better through adversity. And that's what I've got.
I have another Podcast Growth U. I think I have like 70 downloads or something.
It's like 150, but yeah.
Is it 150?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
But still.
Nice. Yeah.
Still, like, there wasn't necessarily like a shiny beginning. I think I'll be in the messy middle for a long time, but it is what it is. It's just, it's par for the course. Next Level Nation, if you are looking to help yourself by finding other people who might also be going through the messy middle at the same time as you, join group coaching. Our 8th round starts on October 4th, 2022. Everything you need to know is in the show notes below. A wonderful opportunity for you to meet like-minded people, and you'll probably understand yourself at a deeper level because you'll see a lot of what you're going through in others, which is always very helpful.
Huge introduction to something new and shiny. It's called the Next Level Blog. So I just wrote an article called Quantum Goal Setting. This is a framework I take my clients through. A lot of people have these results that they want, which are represented by the outer rings in the image when you click on it. And then what it is people are too focused on effects, not causes. We want to focus on the causes that create the effects that you want in your life. And so that's what quantum goal setting is. It flips traditional goal setting on its head, and it explains why most people don't achieve their goals. Click the link in the show notes, check that out, and that will eventually be a chapter in one of my books.
Boom. Next Level Nation, tomorrow for episode number 1100. So I guess 1100? 1,100, 1,100. I don't know I don't know how I'm going to do that. Last week's live podcast, Are You Living in the Past, Present, or Future? I very much enjoyed this one. It was a deep, hyper-conscious episode. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. Hopefully you have a wonderful weekend. And as always, at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Hope you reach out soon.